So, thank you for Boris for joining me this interview, this very unconventional interview. And
yes, and I'm going to interview you. So thank you very much for coming to this interview. I'm so glad to have you here. So Federico Campoli, for the people who don't know him, he's a DBA in Italy, but he's more than a DBA. He's actually a spiritual counselor for depressed elephants. So can you explain what that really is, Federico?
well, the idea is to I do a lot of performance tuning on Postgres. So basically, I'm trying to recover PostgreSQL, the elephant, from depression. So I run my job as a spiritual counselor rather a DBA or performance. So yeah.
So Federico, let me ask you the first question then. Well, after the question that we already have about the titles. So you have a lot of lanyards there on the back of you. So I know I've presented you also in some of the previous FOSDEM, PGDay, or other conferences, and I know that you are talking in many places. So what motivates you to actually keep on giving that many talks and
Well, I think there are a couple of reasons. The first one is the personal satisfaction, because after when I was a child, I was incredibly shy, stage fright altogether. Then at some point, something changed in me. Because of special work. I was a tourist entertainer, and then it came out the stage beast from out of me. So I really love to be on stage. I really love to be interacting with the audience, and that's the reason why. One of the reasons, the first reason, I love to be in touch with people and being able to focus ideas to the audience. The second one is I love Postgres, and what a surprise, right?
Exactly.
So I really love to share as much as possible knowledge, and I'm doing mainly advocacy for Postgres.
About the advocacy, so you do a lot of conferences in Postgres conferences. Do you also present in other communities? Do you go to other conferences?
I do. Sometimes I do. It depends which kind of. Sometimes I get invited. For example,
nice.
the T-shirt I'm wearing right now is from the Ploni conference in Ferrara. I went last year. So they invited because they love Postgres. So nice. I went to this conference presenting the Hitchhiker's Guide to Postgres. So I presented. I think the video is still online. So I presented about Postgres, the community, the features of PostgreSQL, all this sort of stuff, and how it's amazing to being involved inside into the project. So.
And from all this presentation that you have done, do you remember any Spinal Tap moments or something funny that happened, something that's totally funny? A microphone that fell, something like that?
I had a lot. Oh yes, it was the PGDay Austria. He taught me a lesson, which Alicia told me before starting my presentation. Never do a live demo on stage. I was presenting how to use Ansible and PG Backrest to automate backups.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point I said, okay, I have these virtual machines on my PC. Let's move into live demo. And suddenly my X server decided to crash. So my computer went completely frozen. And I said, okay, that's it. Trust me, it works.
Yeah. So you're presenting now in FOSDEM. Yeah, this first time that we have this virtual presentation. So what can we expect from your presentation? You're closing up our dev room, so you are kind of the headline of the. What can we expect from your presentation?
This presentation is quite strange because it was inspired by the FOSDEM 2020. I went to the devroom and listened to Claire Giordano's Fibonacci spirals and how to contribute to Postgres. So this thing inspired me to talk about how the entire thing about the PGDay started. So I think it's an interesting thing because it's a closing story. So it's some sort of fireplace story. I hope there will be a good audience, because this is a story that I didn't think in probably 13 years. The story I'm telling is the story of the 2007 PGDay, the first one. And we were 4 people organizing this foolish thing. It was me, Gabriele Bartolini, and Marco Nenciarini. Plus other guys from the organization, the Linux user group. And probably Postgres Europe won't be there. So for me, it's quite emotional to give this talk. And I hope people will listen and learn how everything started. Some sort of archaeology about the story of Postgres Europe.
Nice. We're definitely going to tell Claire to watch your talk. But this is not a closing stuff. You're not retiring from speaking after this one, right?
No, I hope
okay.
No.
That's good. That's good.
I really look forward to a real conference in real life.
Talking about real conference in real life. So this is recorded on video. So there's a different setting. What are we going to miss from you? I mean, do you have any superpower that we are not going to be able to see if you would have done it live? I mean,
I mentioned before I did tourist entertainer, but that was just one part. It was a crazy summer for me. And I also acted on stage. I did a small part into a comedy. And what I learned is the stage is not something that you have to fear, and you feel the audience. Even if you don't see the audience, you will feel some sort of vibration coming from the audience. So my superpower is to stimulate and interact with the audience. So the audience can feel myself moving, but this is more related with the Italian stuff about the body language. This thing. I think Italians have barely, at least 40-50% of language is just body language. We don't need to speak at all. Probably because each region have a different dialect. So we need a common ground, which is which can be Italian, but most of it is body language. So when I stay on stage, my superpower is to move and act and try to entertain the audience. So this is something I would really miss.
I know Italian people are very passionate about what they do. So you are known, this is my last question, for being one of the 2 persons has a Postgres tattoo. So can you tell us more about your tattoo, and maybe if you can show us the tattoo?
Yeah. Of course. The Postgres tattoo is this one. There's also a new friend.
Nice.
The FreeBSD one. This has been my first tattoo. And there's a story, not a nice story on this thing, because I had to touch up probably 3 times before getting something decent on my shoulder. But it was also a particular moment. This tattoo was inspired by Devrim Kunduz.
Yep.
The other guy crazy enough to get PostgreSQL tattooed. So when I saw his tattoo, I said, "Oh, I want this thing." And it took me a while. And when I decided to go for tattooing myself, it was when I reached 10 years from when initially I started working with databases.
Nice.
In 2004, I started my career as an Oracle DBA. So I think I have another tattoo, another fire mark in another place. It's like the horses, right? You get stamped when you start working with Oracle. So, and after a couple of years, I discovered Postgres. So it was in 2014. I said, okay, that's the moment. Is a milestone for me. So let's see what should I do. And unfortunately, I got a very bad tattoo shop. So this tattoo initially literally crumbled down. It had a lot of white specks into the blue. Then I got the guy that made this anchor, this one. This is quite beautiful. And this guy
retouched the other one.
Yeah, retouched my tattoo. So I think having PostgreSQL on my shoulder, it means that it's more than just a project. I think it's an idea. The idea of friendship, the idea of the community, along with a great product. And
that's nicely said.
Like I like to say, I started with Postgres with the version 7.4, so not a great one. And I like to say that Postgres has been the best bet I ever won, because I made a massive gamble when I decided to leave Oracle and move into Postgres. But now Postgres is gaining momentum, is becoming a standard for the data storage. So I'm really happy with that. It's amazing.
Excellent. Okay, well, thank you very much, Federico. We are looking forward to your presentation, and also when we are back live to see your presentations in a conference, to see your superpowers being used on stage. So thank you very much, Federico.